Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Old School English Teacher. Today we're going to examine more principles and rules about proper comma usage. As I was thinking about the comma, only an English teacher would do that, I was considering how different it is from the period and the question mark, even the semicolon. The period and the question mark are very straightforward. You write a statement, a complete thought, and you end it with a period. You write a question, you end it with a question mark. In contrast, the comma has 14 different rules, or those are the ones that I can find. There's probably more. 14 different rules that we need to learn so that we use proper comma placement. So without further ado, let's begin. The 8th rule of comma usage is to set off an appositive. And you're asking yourself, wow, what's an appositive? Well, an appositive is a noun that renames a noun that precedes it. And I have an example to explain that. One of my favorite books, Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, is both a coming of age and a road trip narrative revealing the universal struggles of youth. Now, the first noun is books, and the appositive is the noun, Huckleberry Finn, that renames this book. Now, I like using appositives because it's a concise way to add more information within the sentence. Now, if I were to delete Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, the sentence would still make sense and be grammatically correct. But by including an appositive such as Huckleberry Finn, I am including more information without adding a lot of words. That's always a good thing. Let's try a student practice. I'm going to read this, and while I'm reading it, I want you to figure out where those commas go to kind of enclose that appositive. My father, the president of Western Energy, will donate a year's supply of fuel to the food bank. Okay, so here's the first noun. Did you find the second noun? It's president. Okay, so this is the appositive. My father, comma, the president of Western Energy, comma, will donate a year's supply of fuel to the food bank. Now this sentence would be correct without the appositive, but look how lovely it is because we were able to add some good information, important information, without being wordy. That is the beauty of an appositive. Now the 9th way to use commas is to set off a parenthetical phrase. This is also a wonderful way to include more information without becoming too wordy. Here's an example. The editor's speech, which was lengthy and tedious, held no one's attention. This is a good simple sentence that was enhanced with a parenthetical phrase. And that parenthetical phrase, which was lengthy and tedious, is set off with commas. Let's look at another example. Because I eat 4 to 5 servings of vegetables per day, which is not the typical American diet, I shop at the farmer's market twice a week. Okay, here's our parenthetical phrase, set off with commas, which is not the typical American diet. Again, the sentence would be correct without this parenthetical phrase, but we would be losing some information if we didn't include it. And it's always nice to include information in parenthetical phrases because it's concise and to the point. And again, we avoid that pitfall of being wordy. Let's do a student practice. We want to insert a parenthetical phrase in the middle of the sentence. And while I'm reading these 2 examples, I want you to be thinking of a possibility that you could insert. He ought to save his money, parenthetical phrase, before he buys a new car. The bus driver accelerated up the steep hill, parenthetical phrase, then he slammed on his brakes, stopping for a small herd of deer. Okay, so did you think of something? Let me share with you what I thought of. He ought to save his money, it seems to me, before he buys a new car. See, it can be something very simple. The bus driver accelerated up the steep hill, traveling way over the speed limit. Then he slammed on his brakes, stopping for a small herd of elk. So we got a little bit more information from each of these parenthetical phrases. So again, this is a great way to insert information into the sentence, and at the same time you're being concise and you're avoiding wordiness. Wonderful strategy. Okay, the 10th way to use commas is to set off transitional words and phrases. And this is a lovely way for smooth writing so that we're not making our readers jump from one idea to another, but we've got these nice little transitional words and phrases. They kind of act like a little bridge from one idea to the next. And I have an example for you. The families portrayed on television are either outrageously dysfunctional or unrealistically congenial. In fact, we know that most families fall somewhere in the middle. So I use the transitional phrase, in fact, and then I set it off with a little comma right here. And so let's do a student practice to make sure that we have this. Okay. With only 4 hours before her examination, she wrote math formulas on a cheat sheet. Clearly, she had procrastinated once again. So I wrote clearly, which is your transitional word. In black, it kind of helps you. So if you're thinking the comma should go here, that's exactly right. Clearly, comma, she had procrastinated once again. Okay, the 12th rule. Use commas to set off dialogue. If you're writing a narrative, it's important to set off your dialogue with commas in an appropriate manner. And I'd also like you to notice that besides comma placement, when we have dialogue in a body of writing, we indent and create a new paragraph each time someone new speaks. Even if they only say one word, it's a new paragraph. So let's look at this example to learn about comma placement and beginning a new paragraph with each new speaker. Give me back my phone, Rachel begged. I can't, her brother explained. It fell into the fish tank. No way, Drew, Rachel cried. Look closely. Can you see it? Okay, so I want to give you a little explanation behind these commas. So, give me back my phone. And we have a little comma here, and you notice it's tucked inside the quotation marks. Then we have our dialogue tag indicating who's speaking. I can't, comma, her brother explained, period. It fell into the fish tank. No way. And then we have a direct address. She's addressing her brother, and we're setting off his name with commas because it is a direct address. Look closely. Can you see it? Okay, look closely is a complete thought. You could put a period here or a semicolon, but in dialogue, it's okay to have a comma here between a comment and then a little tag question. This would be an unusual way to use a comma, but I'm throwing it in there because one day you might find that useful. Okay, we have a student practice, and while I'm reading this dialogue, I want you to insert the appropriate comma placement. I put my violin on a dining room table, yelled Becky. Becky, I returned your violin to your bedroom, her mother answered. Oh, sorry I yelled at you, Becky replied. All right, let's look at that first line of dialogue. I put my violin on the dining room table. If you think that a comma goes here, that is correct, tucked inside that quotation mark. And then we begin a new paragraph because someone new is speaking. Becky, comma, because that is a direct address. We put a little comma after Becky's name. Becky, I returned your violin to your bedroom, comma, inside the quotation mark, her mother answered. Oh, comma. Sorry I yelled at you, comma, Becky replied. Okay, so I think you're getting this. Okay, the more we use commas correctly, the more confident we become. So I'm challenging you to practice the comma rules in my videos entitled Comma Confidence Parts 1, 2, and 3. After you become familiar with the comma rule, teach someone that particular comma rule. Even if you're sitting in front of the mirror and you're teaching yourself, that has value. And remember to build your sap. I talked about the sap of a tree in an earlier video. The sap of a tree nurtures the trunk, the branches, and the leaves, and it keeps the tree alive. In the same way, when we use our sap, it keeps our writing alive and vibrant. And I'll remind you what that SAP is. The S stands for study writing principles. The A stands for apply those principles. And the P stands for practice, lots of practice. Okay, my book recommendation is not a book that someone else has written. It's a book that you're going to write. And I would suggest that you buy a bunch of spiral notebooks, particularly for learning how to write, but you could apply this practice to any one of your subjects that you're taking. And as you learn a new principle, write down what you have learned. Write down the practices that you have done, and keep practicing until you really, really get it, until it's second nature. And it'll be fun to look at your spiral notebook at the end of the semester or at the end of the year. And if you look at the front of the spiral notebook, you'll see that, oh, my sentences were a little rusty. They were a little low in confidence. And boy, my punctuation was off and my vocabulary was seriously undeveloped. And then you flip to the back and you see what you've accomplished in a semester or a year. And you can really be proud of yourself and know that you have really improved your writing skills. So I hope that you'll review and practice proper comma usage, because there is a principle behind those pauses that we use in our sentences. So with that, I wish you good luck, good writing, and of course, good comma usage. Bye-bye.